What does Web 3.0 technology mean for the sports betting payment process?
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. Today we are going to discuss something that is very special, basically the connection between Web3 and sports betting, and we will focus on specifically the payment. My name is Elion. I'm from Coinpoint. Coinpoint is a blockchain solution agency. We've been around since 2012. Basically, we've seen it all, and now we are focused on metaverse and NFT. But I bring with me more than 15 years of online gaming experience. So basically, this panel is very relevant for me. We will start by introducing the respective panelists here, and then I will ask them some very, very hard questions. Guys, feel free to do some shameless self-promotions. Let's go.
Hi everyone, I am Palak. I am the CPO of Infrinity. We are building some of the coolest technologies in blockchain. We are figuring out the pain points of the industry and trying to solve those. I have 15 years of experience in technology and product, which helps me solving the issues of this industry as well. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
All right. Oh, this is interesting. All right. Thank you guys for coming out. My name is Tony. I do content creation for over 12 years now. Most recently, I started doing crypto education on YouTube, so just trying to add value to the industry, basically. And yeah, that's about it. I'm going to keep it short.
Cool. Hi guys, I am Jean-Michel. I'm a co-founder of Infrinity. We do Web3 Rails as a service, and a little background. I'm a gamer, a nerd, and I've been in tech and startups for the last 10 years, give or take. And I think we can dive in.
Thank you for the introduction. So Web3 is a lot about decentralization and transparency. It enables many options that have not been enabled before. And now we are going to discuss basically the difference or the addition of Web3 technologies, specifically again for payments with sports betting. So I'll start with my first questions. What benefits are there for a sports book as a result of the use of blockchain technology?
Okay, so for sportsbook specifically, I think it is both pros and cons which they have to figure out. But I believe that this is an inevitable change which they have to go to, because I think this is the same dilemma which maybe Nokia must have faced, where they had a great product, they had a great customer base, but they wanted to understand if they should innovate or not. But innovation is, I believe that is something they all have to go to. Because blockchain is basically, I believe that any kind of payment system where there are multi-parties involved and you need some kind of transparency and trust, blockchain is something which has to be there. Blockchain is the solution to those problems. And sports betting is also one of those areas where smart contract-based automations and the delivery versus payment aspect of blockchain would really make this entire process extremely painless.
There we go. All right. So basically, what you said, transparency and trust, and that's the biggest thing, right? That it's the inevitable next step, not only for sports betting, but for many industries. And so, one of the use cases that I thought of that I think is very interesting is peer-to-peer betting, right? So we can bet on whatever we want. So for example, me and you can throw a ball and see who's going to throw it farther, and then bet on it, just me and you, without anybody in the middle, without anybody taking profit from us, right? Yeah, and that's one of the best use cases. You know, I thought of it. That's something that I would actually use, right? Because it's going to be fun, and that's the whole point. I just want to have fun, you know.
So on the sports betting side, I think there's a few different elements, right? Like if you can use blockchain most easily for things to build trust on things like, let's say, any kind of RNG use, right? Like, I mean, okay, fair enough. In sports, there's not really much RNG. That's more and more casino and stuff like that. But when you have an RNG, sort of a random number generator, and you're building a business on that, using a blockchain to ensure that you aren't cheating the odds is a great offering. Something a little bit simpler, maybe on the sportsbook side, is digital identity, right? Like it's clicking on a betting site is about as risky as clicking on a porn site, right? Like when you see those links online, they hold the same kind of risk to you. So wouldn't it be great if you could interact with that website without the risk of any of your data, your personal data and financial data being at risk? I think that is the lowest hanging fruit.
Thank you. I would also like to add, because obviously there are currently sports betting websites that are accepting bets on the blockchain, which is basically, it's very basic. But let's add another aspect of that in terms of gamification and loyalty. So basically, since everything is automated and on the blockchain, so you can add a loyalty aspect to keep the bettors on your site. And earn NFTs with that and the tokens that can definitely keep the bettors keep betting with you rather than going to other betting sites which are offering the same odds, basically. So this is another benefit aside from all the benefits that were discussed here. Let's.
For a second to add an additional use case, right? So in the sports betting industry, typically you have larger companies like groups, and those groups have multiple brands, and each of those brands have their own compliance requirements in specific jurisdictions. For example, if you're setting up an operator in the UK, then you have to abide by the regulatory standards of the UK GC. One of those is that you aren't allowed to take any kind of data outside of the UK, right? So this creates a problem, because if you're a group, you've got a bunch of marketing dollars, right? If you push everyone into one funnel, you can't really move them from here to here, because of that specific compliance requirement, you're entirely limited. But if you use a self-sovereign identity, then that solves your issue entirely, right? Because you suddenly have a portability of the customer.
That's a very good point. Basically, having a KYC done on-chain and enabling the customers to go and bet without having to do it over and over again. Let's talk about the better perspective. Basically, what are the advantages of using a Web3 sportsbook?
So for bettors, I think it is a beautiful experience. First of all, I think every sports fan wants to do something, wants to show off his skills on how much he knows about his sport, and I think they get a platform for sports through the sports betting apps. So since this internet has come in, earlier people were just betting with their family and friends. Since this internet has come in, it has become much easier for them to bet. But there are some pain points with the internet. The pain points are there is lack of fairness, there is lack of trust, high commissions, a lot of centralization is there. So the entity which is the sports book has a lot of control on what you can do and what you cannot do. So with blockchain, that control is divided into various different entities, small entities. The user has the power to do a lot of things. That, as he also mentioned, one of the use cases is that two people can bet on something and nobody else is going to take anything out of it. So the transactions becomes much simpler, and it's basically as simple as that a smart contract is going to hold all your funds and it is going to take data from any oracle and basically pay you out as soon as there is a decision made on that particular process. So yeah, I think that for the user experience side, it becomes much simpler for them, and it becomes much more interesting for them.
Hello? All right, there we go. Well, as you said, it's going to be a beautiful experience, but the thing is, once it becomes fully decentralized, where I can bet and totally own my funds, take it out whenever I want, place a bet on whatever I want, and whatever time I want, that is when the experience is going to be absolutely beautiful. But apart from that, it needs to be very simple, right, in order for something like that to become mainstream. I don't want to do the whole KYC process. I don't want to, go through all the hurdles of all of that. I just want to have 2 clicks and do what I want to do, right? And that's, I think, the point where it would potentially become mainstream, right? Because that's the point where it's the most fun, and that's the point where the average Joe who doesn't know anything about crypto can also use it to bet, right?
So I'd agree with a few of those points, but also I disagree with a couple as well. So on the original question, it's sort of the advantages of Web3 and sports betting. Let's focus on one specific point of Web3, right? Because that encompasses a lot of different areas. Let's talk specifically about decentralization, since this seems to be the sort of topic of choice. And decentralization is mostly advantageous for, on the business side, for offloading risk, right? The problem with decentralization, and I'd say most of the people in these conferences, is that people just think that it's a sort of like a one-hit wonder, right? Like full decentralization is great for Bitcoin, like proof of work is great just for Bitcoin. But when something goes wrong, you need someone to help you. And full decentralization cannot solve that issue. So I think the real advantages are unlocked when we find some sort of equilibrium between decentralization and centralization, obviously, hopefully a little bit more towards this side. And I think once we strike that balance, I think it will allow gaming providers and gaming operators to operate, to provide services to its customers, which it currently can't because the regulation and the tech doesn't allow it. So what those will be, I think, remain to be seen.
Good points, thank you. I want to switch to a little bit of a different topic, which is still related, which is the metaverse. There is a lot of discussion, a lot of buzz about the metaverse. And while we still don't know how it's going to evolve, and most of the sessions that were before us were discussing the metaverse, in my vision, I see a place in which you can wear your VR set or not wear the VR set and watch a few live sporting events at the same time, have a virtual betting slip placed in front of you where you can place the bets with a few taps of the hand. And everything obviously will be on the blockchain, but this will be like the ultimate experience other than, going to watch a TV channel with your favorite match that you just placed a bet on. You can watch multiple matches, you can place in-game bets, everything in real time. So this is my vision of the sports betting in the metaverse. What is yours?
That metaverse brings a lot of more interest in sports betting, in a sense that sports has always been one of the biggest entertainment for people. And when it comes to metaverse, so it also adds the element of socializing. You can meet people. It is not always necessary that people sitting around you have the same interest. So here metaverse is bringing all those people with the same interest around you. You can talk to them, you can abuse them at the same time. So it does bring a lot of value. But yeah, I think this has to be, there is a lot to be discovered in that particular space.
Yeah, well, metaverse is way more my topic than gambling anyway, but the way I see it, you said the socialization part, right? The socialization part is great, but it is a two-edged sword. You are socializing, but are you really socializing, right? At one point, I actually did a conference inside of a metaverse game with the VR headset, and to be honest, it was a surreal experience. The first time I experienced something like that. I did socialize. I was at a stage in VR talking to other people who could raise their hand, ask questions, and things like that. That might be the future, but again, it is a two-edged sword, right? It was a little bit of a surreal experience. But to get back to what you were saying, I like your vision, the way you said it, that you can watch multiple events, have like a big screen in front of you, wearing the VR headset, that could be a very good implication. But what already exists, there are already metaverse, if you can call it metaverse games, where you can play poker with or blackjack with other people while in VR. And I have tried it, and it is fun, but it's not the real thing, you know. So that's why I think it is a two-edged sword, but there will definitely be an audience for that. But I don't think it's the audience that is gambling right now. I think that's a whole new spectrum of people are going to come in who find that particular part very interesting, right? That's my opinion on it, yeah.
Actually, I couldn't agree more in the sense that, and I'll say why. So at the beginning of COVID, I bought an Oculus Quest 2, right? Because you couldn't leave the house, couldn't do squat. I couldn't visit my dad either, and he's 69 now. So I bought him an Oculus Quest 2. It took us about 6 hours just to get in an AllSpace VR chat room, right? Which is a Facebook product, right? And once we got in, all I heard were complaints of queasiness. I heard complaints of, where's this button, where's that button? Okay, now sure, fine. My dad isn't exactly the sort of like ideal candidate, right? But my partner, for example, who has also played World of Warcraft for like 5 or 6 years and has been a gamer since he was born, refuses to do anything VR because it makes him queasy. So like when I hear metaverse, I just kind of like laugh a little bit inside and also maybe puke a little bit in my mouth at the same time. Because there's other people out there trying to sell snake oil, and I think it's great that we have YouTubers like this who actually say things how they fucking are, right? Yeah, there will be people who will gamble and in VR, sure, maybe someday, but I mean, your person who goes on BetSwap or Betson or whatever and plays online poker, I guarantee you isn't going to buy an Oculus Quest and say, good night, honey, I'm going to play poker tonight. No, it's not going to happen. It's just not.
Well, the metaverse is not for everyone, just like crypto is not for everyone, it's...
About it this way, if a seasoned gamer, right, a 45-year-old seasoned gamer, isn't interested in the metaverse. I've literally offered my team, like we're 10 people based all around the world. I've offered them, guys, we'll get you all VR headsets and we'll sit down, we'll have meetings. I'm like, no, I don't want to stick to Teams. So, and we're a blockchain startup. So if we don't want it, we're gamers, we're building tech, we don't want it. Who wants it?
You can always do what Elon Musk did.
By Twitter?
Fire them. No, joking. The technology is still...
Cold-blooded, man.
The technology is obviously still developing, evolving, and I can definitely say that the user experience right now in most of the metaverse platforms is still not there. It's not good. It's not attractive. I agree. With that said, boxing with the VR is pretty cool, I have to say. Yeah, I felt as if I getting knocked down. I personally believe this is the future, but there are plenty of contradicting opinions. The last thing I want to discuss, because the time is running out, you probably heard about FTX. There is a, yeah, so, yeah.
Who? Exactly. Is that the scam Rugman fraud, no?
Yeah, since this is very relevant, in terms of the timing, so I would like to hear your thoughts about the implication of this mega bubble fraud to the industry in general, to the Web3 world specifically.
I believe that if there is any organization which is custodian to your funds, then they should be regulated or they should be audited. And if they are not being audited enough and they do not even have the funds to back what they are saying they have, then I think this is something which would happen. So.
Yeah, the whole situation is still unraveling. In my personal opinion, we don't even know 10% of what actually happened, and the ripple effect is going to be huge. We were going to feel it for another year, I'm 100% sure. Like, I can see what happens in real time because of my views, right? Because I have the same click-through rate. So click-through rate is how many people click on a video compared to how many see that the video exists. And so how many see the video exists is impressions, right? And so my impressions are falling because people are leaving, right? My SEO is amazing. I always have 100 out of 100 SEO, but people are leaving right now, especially with the whole FTX debacle. people are scared, man. The average Joe is scared. I am scared, bro. Not the, you know? So, yeah, the ripple effect is going to be noticeable. I hope, you know, as many good projects survive as possible, and I hope the bad projects go down the drain. I really hope so. But yeah, FTX and the whole thing will clean house really well for another year. That's my opinion on it, yeah.
I actually think FTX is one of the best things to happen to crypto since Mt. Gox. And the reason why is because when Mt. Gox happened, the industry evolved very, very quickly because we learned. And the same thing is happening with FTX. The blockchain is doing its job, right? The world out there, all the journalists out there are posting a bunch of updates. If this was a bank, we'd have no idea. We wouldn't have access to any of this information. We only realized that the financial system crashed when it was way, way too late, right? In this case, maybe FTX goes down and the rest of the world will be fine. It always will be. Bitcoin crashes, sure, ETH crashes, but when you've been in this industry long enough, an 80% swing doesn't even faze you. The point is, the tech is doing its job. We're just learning at a really rapid rate. And the information is coming so fast, we don't know what to do with it. But that's a good thing, it's not a bad thing.
Thank you. Very good points. Any questions from the lovely audience?
It's one idea you guys spoke about is sports betting, and so it's multiple people in the same room watching a match, virtual room. But my question there, maybe it's not the best question to ask you guys, but something that I wonder about is, would the person who's hosting that virtual space be paying for each user to be watching the live match, or is it more like visiting a bar and the guy who runs the bar puts it on his TV and pays for his subscription to watch that match? That's something that
You can have a bar and you can ask people to pay for drinks, or you can charge them a fucking membership and you can give them an open bar. So it's all
money, like the money making from the landowner and more from the rights. So I have a right to stream sports in a bar. Would I need a right to stream sports in a virtual space?
I see.
If there's 50 people or 100 people, it doesn't matter. Or would the streaming industry then count how many people are in your virtual space?
So it will, I tell you, it will work very, very similar to the early days of rapid share, which is that you will be allowed to stream whatever the hell you want until it becomes too big of a problem. Once it becomes too big of a problem, and then the world will wake up and they'll want to get involved. And a lot of people will get shut down. Like there was the rapid share, there was Mega Upload, and Kim.com, and that sort of stuff, and that happened. But that was good, right? So piracy is something which spurs innovation, and regulation comes after that, and then leverages everything that it builds. So that's my take.
I completely agree with him. Regulation always comes after adoption. So I think we have to wait for the adoption to happen, and then I'm sure that regulatory bodies would come in.
I want to say about this specifically is that it will be the best interest of the sports betting room, let's call it, in the virtual world to broadcast the matches, to buy the broadcasting rights and to attract users to come and bet there. This is one of the ways. Obviously, it will have its price, but the benefits of placing bets there and buying virtual drinks is also big. Any other questions? No. So thank you very much for listening. Take care.